Hello everybody, my name is Owen Killeen and I am an artist. I am a photographer and I am a singer-songwriter. I also do martial arts, by the way. I'm trying to get my mic sorted here so that the wind blowing out the side of my computer doesn't take over the whole story and scene. I should take my stand, really. So what this series of tutorials is going to be about is basically how I approached recording my songs, my singing, my songwriting, and producing my own songs and engineering my own songs by using a program called Ableton Live. And Ableton Live is usually used by DJs. Not always, usually used by DJs. And they usually record in this view that you see on the screen right now, which is the session view in Ableton Live. I usually record in this view, which is the arrangement view. And this is basically the timeline. And the timeline is where you record your audio tracks directly from vocals. There are MIDI tracks in here as well, which, you know, I would put the contact player. I'll show all of these. I'll show you later on in later tutorials. Ableton itself has a whole load of MIDI instruments as well, but right now for this tutorial I'm just gonna talk about the audio tracks. And excuse me while I have a bit of chocolate here while I'm talking to you as well. So when I first start on a song, what I do is on a MIDI track I basically record in or you know, type in and quantize per bar over the length of the song, the duration of the song. I put in, we say, most people what they do is, or not most people, but some people would actually, they would use a click track, you know, and that'd be like, you know, it's basically the first beat and subsequent 3 beats in the bar. What I do is with the drum, the kick drum, I'll put it on the first beat, maybe even the 3rd beat as well, depends on the song. And I might also put a snare, and I will take these samples, these instrument samples of a kick and a snare, and I'll take them from Ableton's stock drum samples and just put in a kick and a snare very metronomically over the duration, the length of my song, whatever that may be. And I spent a month just singing over that, playing my guitar and singing until the whole song learns to sit on the kick and the snare. And the song then starts to mold itself around that. Because when you sing on your own, when you sing to yourself without any kind of timing or beat keeping, the song can, you know, it can, in some parts, can start to stretch out. It can sound completely different. It can be a completely different song. But when you actually have to start to put that over a kick and a snare metronomically over the duration of Ableton's timeline, you know, boom, 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 whatever it is, and you then learn to sing that song over that exact precise kick and snare over the duration of the length of your song. So I would do that for a month until the song gains a life of its own over that kind of beat. And then what I would do is I would go in and record on an audio track. Usually what I record on the one audio track is both my guitar playing and singing together at the same time, and that would give me a reference for straight away afterwards in subsequent tracks. I would only do that with one track as a guide over the kick and the snare. This is during the recording session, and I record into my wardrobe, which has a duvet behind it, and my mic stand is inside in the wardrobe. And what that gives me is a lovely warm intimate sound, and it has to do with mic placement as well. I don't sing straight center into the mic, I sing slightly off center, and there's a coat there. I also have coats hanging on the doors that are opened, and I'll probably show pictures of all this later, but what it does is it deadens any reflections, any immediate sharp echoes that might bounce off a hard surface. So cloths, the duvet, everything, just kill all those reflections so that you can apply digitally reverb later. So what I do is straight away in the very beginning of a recording session, I record guitar and vocal straight onto an audio track. I arm it there like that. I arm it and record. Then what I do is on a new track I just play guitar. Just play guitar on that, and I try to imagine singing with the guitar as I'm playing, but I don't sing. I'm singing inside my mouth, inside my mind, as I actually play the guitar. The guitar is played into the mic, recording on that track. Of course, I turn off the previous track, which had the guitar and the vocal on it, and so afterwards, I'll leave it on while I'm actually recording the guitar. But what I do is I turn the volume down very low, very low, so that it doesn't interfere with what I'm hearing coming through in the headphones of the guitar. So once I have the guitar in, and a good guitar take, that might be the first take, might be fine. I might feel that it has been on the beat every particular strum or pluck, and so what I'll do is usually I'll do a few more takes. I'll do a few guitar takes, and then I will start on the vocals, and I do the vocals the same way. What I do is I start with an audio track. And I will rename it Control R backspace. I'll name it lead voc, like that. And so I record a vocal take into that, and then when I finish doing that, I will duplicate it, Control D, and I'll disengage the last one, and I'll do another take. All the time I have my guitar take in the background, a choice of guitar takes of maybe 3, 4, however many it is, but I definitely have turned off the scratch track, which was the vocal and the guitar on the one audio signal. That one is definitely turned off at this stage. So I'll do a couple of vocal takes. I could do up to 12 vocal takes, 10, 12, and what I do then is, when that's recorded, afterwards, when all the vocal takes are done, the recording is done, the recording session is over. So when I start to post-process, what I do is when I have a lot of tracks of the same thing, so say all lead vocals, so let's say like that, so all lead vocals, but I'd rename all of these, so that'll be lead voc would be the first one, lead voc 2 would be that one, like that, and 3, and so on and so on and so on. But the point I'm making here is that I group all of these usually when I've finished. So you just check the first one, hold down shift, left click on the last one. For people who don't know how this works, I right click. You can go C plus G, but you can go to group tracks after right clicking, and it groups them like that. And I would normally rename that with, say, like that, voc. I should sort of say lead vocal group. It doesn't take in R at the moment because I use R for the recording software to begin recording. So just say lead vocal group like that, okay? And then you can just close it up, and all the tracks get minimized up into that one group track, which is really cool. But I'm leading on to a point here. Basically, what I do next is I add in one single audio track like this, and that audio track I use as empty real estate space in which to drag the web forms from any of these channels, any of these tracks. So I would left click, hold down, keeping the left click held down, I would drag it up onto this one. You see? And this basically is the Audition channel, and this is where I would have all my effects, all my filters and effects and stuff, you know. I would not put all my filters and effects on all of these vocal. These can also be the guitar channel tracks as well. You know, if I was to say, if I was to name these, I would have like guitar, rhythm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, and or dealing with the lead vocal. I would have no filters or effects on any of these. I would only have it on this Audition track here, this audio Audition track. And what I would put on that, by dragging, by putting the filters on that one, I can drag up the WAV form from any of these up onto this one here, and basically that cuts down on CPU usage by the program. If you had those filters and effects on all of those channels, it would just be too much processing power. Now Ableton could do it, and if you have a good computer, it could do it, no problem. But I like to keep things simple and minimized and efficient. So on the lead vocal group, by the way, if you want to open up the left window here, you go Control Alt and B, and it opens up that. Control Alt and L makes the bottom pane disappear like that. And so onto that vocal lead group, what I would normally do for a vocal processing, what I would put on that would be a number. Now I'm going to go kind of reverse here, okay? So what I would normally do is go to Audio Effects, go down to Simple Delay, and I would take the Simple Delay and drag it up onto the Audition track. Now that's going to be the last in the chain, but I'm putting it on first just to show you guys. So set it to time, set it down to 1 on the left, and set it down to about 26 on the right. Dry wet is about 33. What that does is, what that little plugin does is splits the signal into 2, and it makes it enter one ear first before the other. Because if you think of sound, the way sound normally works in the real world is that if you have a car coming from the left hand side, that sound is going to hit your left ear before it hits the right, and vice versa. If the car is coming from the right side, the sound will hit your right ear before, even though it's milliseconds. But that's how we engage space, three-dimensional space with audio, with sound, because we have 2 ears. Because one hits one ear before the other, it lets us know the direction and even distance of where that object is, you know, or relative distance, learned distance and perception. So that's what we're doing here basically with audio. We're actually fooling the ear into thinking that the sound is wider than what it normally is. So that little Simple Delay plugin, because it splits the signal into 2 and delays one side above the other, and with the dry wet, you can control how wide that is on the stereo spectrum. You know, say you got a pair of headphones on, it's like that, you know. By the way, this is a sock. It's falling apart. My headphones are falling apart. See, it's glued in, wire, everything. I've had it for 3 years. They work perfectly, but the actual structure for holding it together has fallen apart. Although now there's leakage at the side, the ear's kind of twisted. The sound is coming out the back, so I'm gonna have to get a new pair because it's very important that you keep all the sound in while you're listening during audio engineering and production. You gotta keep the sound in. Can't be losing sound out through the sides. So anyway, back to this. The simple delay is fantastic. That's just a fantastic little plugin. But what I would put, the other plugins I'll put in there would be a compressor. I get a compressor and I'll put that in. And I'll show you my settings, my usual settings for vocal tracks. Although they're totally open to interpretation, but this is what I put in. And there's a plugin I'm going to put in before. Oh no, not the 3, the 8. And put in the EQ8. And I'm going to show you another 2 plugins I put in before this, exciters and stuff, but they're more, they are particular, they're not stock Ableton, so I'll go over those as well. Hang on a sec. So the compressor setting is, I usually turn the makeup off. I don't want it to compensate, I want control over that. So I turn off the peak and I put it to root mean square, because we're not just dealing with the peaks, we're dealing with the overall compression of the overall signal and averaging out. The ratio, I usually, for my vocals, I sing very powerfully and very loud. I have a lot of projection, a lot of strength in my chest and chest voice, a lot of it. So the ratio that I would usually use would be up around, quite high actually, could be up to about 4.5. My attack would be low enough. Maybe about 0.8. Depends on the track too as well, whether it's slow or fast. The release I could have quite long, maybe about 1.2, blah blah blah, somewhere there. That all changes too within the actual track. My EQ, I don't sing in the lower sub bass range, so I would change that to 1. I take right down like that, and you can see I'm dropping off. I'm dropping it all off, just below the 100 there. You know, I know I could use a low pass or a high pass filter, but I like to do it that way. So what we do next is the 2 plugins that I used before this, well, which I did on the album. I did this on the album, and it may change for the next album, but what I do here is I take a PTH2A, which is a Puig Tech emulator, and 4 or 5 different companies have emulated this plugin. It's fantastic. Basically, I have a lot of bass in my voice, which a digital signal doesn't get across. So it doesn't portray it the way your human ear would pick it up if you were to listen to it in the same room. So when you hear that over your headphones, over speakers, you don't hear that same boosty level I have when I sing. Boosty level in the low end. So this plugin is just fantastic for boosting that low end. So on the boost, I bring it up to about there, and I just attenuate a little bit, not much. Bring it up to about 60 CPS, about 8. That usually does it. What that does is it gives a lovely silky, lush woof, like a woof in the low end, and then leads back into the treble of the rest of the expression in the word, the sentence of the song, you know. It's beautiful. It's an exciter of types, you know, a boost. It's an EQ, but it EQs with, I think, with harmonic distortion. I could be wrong about that. But about 4 or 5 different companies have done versions of this one, and I like the overtone version. It is overtone, I think. It is overtone, yeah. I like that one. What I also use is an exciter by Ozone, and it's very nice. This is a very nice exciter, and I keep it above the low end again. I don't excite below 120 Hertz because you'd only be exciting sub bass, and there's no reason for that. I keep it on warm, which is even harmonically distorted. The others will do, there's other, I think tube is simple tube excitation. These two are odd harmonics. Don't know about retro, but tape is for sure. Triode, not too sure. But the warm is even, and so you get a lovely warm, even, steady sounding, unedgy, harmonically distorted sound. And I would never distort, on my vocals anyway, I'd never distort above about there, because you're getting up into this territory, you're getting up into the brighter, edgy sound of the frequency spectrum. And I bring it up to about maybe 1.68 at the most. And that's it really, I think, on the vocals. Although, you know, in future, on the next album, I don't know if I'm going to go with the Isotope Ozone exciter in the future. I may just try these PSP's vintage warmers, you know? They're very nice. Done by a Polish company. And I may give it a go. You have to be very careful with it though, with the output. There's that low end again, the high, low to high, okay, and the mix, how much of the mix you have in there, the frequency, both the low and the high. The drive, you bring it up, not much. I've been telling you boost too much of that, and you know, you're in trouble. So in fact, what I might do is I take the EQ and put it before all of these, because it's cutting off the low end. And you might as well just get rid of those frequencies before putting them through the PTH2A and the PSP vintage warmer, and the compressor, of course, and the simple delay. So, but you know, I say that I work in the arrangement view as a singer-songwriter, but sometimes when I just want to look at the sends, and the sends basically, right? Sends of these here, there is reverbs on there, you know. Yep, reverbs, and that's a hall reverb. I've gotten that one, and again, you don't need to put reverb on your low end, so you cut it off, cut that out. This could be a plate. I might have a plate version on that. Plate, yeah. And same with that. You don't need to put a plate on the low bass. Be below 150, 100 hertz. Full mix, and you can see the settings there. Decay time is not very long. A lot of early reflections, a little bit of pre-delay. 2.3 on these, very sensitive. So when you, and I pull it right up like that because I don't use the clips. I like to see all my numbers. You can also, with Ableton, if you pull the sides out, you can see the numbers from the side. It's really cool. So yeah, I put in a little bit of reverb like that. Plate, not much to about there, a bit more on the hall, and that gives it just a lovely sense of space. So you're getting an idea now of what I do in vocal and guitar production. I'll go into more depth at a later date. Okay, thanks for listening, and I hope this gave you something to work with for the future.